Right, buddy, some huge news on the Saudi investment. There's been a tweet from Turk Al Sheikh, which we will talk about. There's also been an update on Harry Maguire potentially staying at Manchester United and the new contract close to being agreed. We've got some news on Ruben Amorim, the midfield, and some other interesting stories at Manchester United, which we will discuss. Now, let's get into it now. I want to go through the statement quickly that's come out by Turk Al Sheikh from, obviously, Saudi. He was a big member of the Saudi corporation and the royal investment. I think he's obviously, there's a lot of sporting events going out there, and he's someone who is very, very, very important. Now, this is what he said. Obviously, he did the tweet yesterday talking about how there's going to be a new investor in United and hopefully they're a success. Now, he has said this: my yesterday's post about Manchester United's potential sale meant one thing. The club is in an advanced negotiation phase with the new investor. Just to clarify, I'm not the investor, nor are they from my nation. I'm just posting this as a fan who wishes the deal to happen, though it might not necessarily happen. What I think is here, potentially, there's been sort of a, not a backlash, but there's been a lot of backlash to kind of what he has said. And I think with Turk Al Sheikh, he's someone who, whenever you talk about United, especially about the sale, it's a very sensitive topic, and it does kind of get many United fans excited. And again, he's kind of backtracking on this deal. Now, we don't think an investment is going to happen. I think it could be something to do with the new stadium. We know United are having that fund sort of being looked at. Sorry, not the fund, having that game in Saudi looked at where they can get some money. So that could be something there. But ultimately, United do need investment, and I think it makes a lot of sense for obviously Saudi. They're looking to invest, but it's not from him. So who that investor is, we probably might not know. But hopefully we do get to find out who it is. It's certainly interesting because when I seen it last night, for someone like him who, again, don't have any relevancy to United, but he's a pretty influential guy. He does all the boxing, he does all the sports as well out in Saudi Arabia. So he is someone with a lot of power and influence. So see if any of it does happen from then. But again, always take it with a pinch of salt. Now the next thing, Harry Kane. Harry Kane, let me tell you what has been said about Harry Kane. He has been linked with a move to Manchester United. That's one thing, Harry Kane. Obviously, he's a player who we know United want to get and have been linked with before. Now, this is what Ben Jacobs had to say with an interview on United Stand. He said, whether it's 2026 or 2027, he wants to come back and do 2 years in the Premier League because that gives him a chance of breaking Alan Shearer's Premier League goal scoring record. Regarding United, they've wanted him, but now they've added Sesko. Now they have other players that can play in that, and they have other players that can play in that number 9 position. If we look at the number 9s, Cunha's there. There may be room for someone more experienced now because the average age of the number 9s is relatively young, and that's where Kane might come in and provide the goals. Not just the goals, but to be a mentor. I can see a scenario where Manchester United moves. So, listen, very well could be Harry Kane coming to Manchester United. I think ultimately Harry Kane's a world-class striker. We know that's someone I'd love to have at United, and yeah, I think he's a very, very good he's a very good player, very quality player. He can score goals, obviously with the aim to break that record. Now, again, he is old. He is, I think, 32, I believe. But he wants to do 2 more years. I think he can very easily break that record. I mean, his stats this season are insane. There's no need to worry about prime experience. We have a younger option there in Sesko. I think this one's a very, very good deal. I think the release clause is £60 million, which, again, is an absolute bargain for someone of his quality. I mean, he scored over 200 Premier League goals. He wants to break that record. He needs, I think, 52 goals to... He needs 53 goals to beat it. And can he do that in 2 years? I mean, we'll have to wait and see, depending on where Manchester United are in those 2 years. But yeah, Harry Kane is definitely an option to look at. Now, on Bruno Fernandes, I'm not aware of any real issues between players and managers in a personal sense. They're free professional discussions which sometimes can be healthy. It is clear that a player like Fernandes is driving a lot of unity as far as I'm aware, gets on very well with Amorim, and yet he does prefer playing deeper or more advanced role. It's obviously the latter. So obviously Bruno, like, he has his preferred position, which every player does. Again, but I think he's happy just to be playing, and I think he can have good performances there. I just think it's about finding the right partner for him. On Bruno Fernandes as well, the notion of a mid-season move was never on the card, so January isn't worth thinking about. Bruno told Saudi last summer he was committed to staying one more season at United and playing in the World Cup. Then he will assess it. Bruno Fernandes remains a leading target for Saudi, and Saudi deal makers don't care whether players say we're not going to go because they always back themselves to change the mind of the players, and that's because obviously they can offer a lot of money. And I think on Bruno, again, I still always say that he will leave United next summer. It's not what I want to say, but I think Bruno will inevitably end up leaving. Right now, I don't think he's going to go anywhere. He's committed to one more season, but I think he will leave next summer. Now, he says, Ben Jacobs said some interesting things on Lomans. He said now he's got his first game, the expectation is he starts at Anfield and beyond and gets a run in the side, which is always a positive. We need to see Lamont be given minutes, consistent minutes as well, where he can make a point, have some consistency, but ultimately have some good performances as well, because what we've seen so far there, there's a lot of positives coming in from Benjamin Sesko, and he looks like a very, very talented player. Now, this is what he said about Xerxes and Maney. They were obviously linked with moves away yesterday. And he said, I think Xerxes is getting worried because he was excluded from the Netherlands squad. And there's a fear he might not make the World Cup squad. And maybe it's the same as Kobbie Mainoo, that he has to leave on loan and make United just say no. But I think there's a realistic chance in January that Xerxes says, I need to go somewhere. Manchester United will have a really big decision to be made. With Mainoo, you have a player that wanted to go out on loan. You had a manager that doesn't really think he's quite ready yet for the system, and still they made him stay because they didn't bring in a midfielder. With Xerxes, you got... Yeah, I think Xerxes is a player that is obviously highly rated by Ruben Amorim, but I think he always is a squad player, and he can be a very good squad player. And I think obviously he's someone who's at that age now. He's 24 now, I believe. He wants to play consistent football, but he also wants to stay and fight for his position at United. So, and with United obviously investing a lot of money into the attack, is obviously not guaranteed that you get minutes. I think on Xerxes, I want to see him stay at the club and fight for his position. I think there's quality there. Not going to say he's going to dislodge Cunha or anything like that, or Mbeumo, but he definitely is a good option to have, and you need options in a top squad. Manchester United will send a survey to fans which will assess demand for seat licences, among other questions, in hope of demonstrating the commercial case for funding and building a new 100,000 capacity stadium. So yeah, the stadium could be something that United obviously look to develop in the next few years. There's something that has always been wanted by Sir Jim Radcliffe. We know that. I'm not going to talk too much on that. Now, the last thing, Manchester United are in talks with Maguire over a new deal with existing contract due to expire in June. Face-to-face meeting with his camp took place in recent days, and more will follow to discuss conditions. United are happy with Maguire's contribution and leadership. Now, immediately on Maguire, top professional and always has been at United, has some tough moments, has some good moments. Now, again, personally, but I don't agree with him getting older. He's not going to get any better. I would want someone who's better suited to the position, more younger, more up and coming. But no one can doubt that Maguire has quality. And I think someone who is highly valued in the squad. So listen, ideally I'd want to sell him, but keeping him at the club probably isn't the worst decision. So let's see what happens with that. See what is to follow. But yeah, that's been the latest news. Thanks for watching.